This is your host, Shiloh Ekstrom, and you are tuning in to Grit and Grace. Real people, real conversations, and real grit. A real-life Harry Potter talks to snakes, and no, she's not a wizard. This is Shiloh Ekstrom, and you are tuning in to Grit and Grace. Oh my gosh, everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I have one of the most incredible women I've gotten to know over the last, oh my gosh, I want to say 5 to 7 years. It has to be at least 6 years. We're going to go in between 6 years. I've gotten to know Ruth Mellor through business acquaintances. We have gotten to be friends. I have followed her on her journey. She is absolutely incredible, an oracle, a healer, a shaman, a medicine woman. Yes, this person is real, and it's not Harry Potter. She can talk to snakes. She can communicate with animals. You are absolutely incredible, Ruth. Thank you so much for joining me on our show today.
I'm excited.
I know. I'm so excited. And I know you've been busy. You are so busy. We tracked you down. We got you here. You have so much in the works. And so we did get to know each other through business, which is always incredible when you can network and meet such interesting, amazing people. And I remember, you got started in your journey in, multi-level marketing and things like that. And we had worked together just a little bit, maybe, saw each other at events, which is always fun. But you are so much more than a marketer. And that's why I wanted you on the show today, because number one, I want to hear more about what's going on in your world, because I'm reading your bio and I know a lot about you, but I was like, whoa, this woman is just on fire, but you have so much experience. I've watched you with horses. That's really where I started to really tune into your talents, was when you were communicating with horses and your work with horses and helping women and overcoming PTSD and walking people through and helping heal. That's really incredible. So real quick for our listeners and our viewers, tell us a little bit about you. And not what's happening now yet. We've got so much to talk about.
Okay, good. That one.
You're a healer. How did you get started? It says 20 years. So let's talk about that. How did you have a gift. When did you discover that gift?
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, I had quite the grow up to help me understand my gifts. I was alone a lot, moved around. I was born in Arizona. We moved up to Alaska. My dad was a professional orthodontist. He ended up killing himself, like hardcore stuff. And a lot of pretty powerful things were happening that was just absolutely outrageous in my life. And I was the youngest of 6 and very young compared to my older. So I was left alone a lot because everybody's in their mess, right? They're all in their mess. They're all crazy. And they're all pretending it's not crazy, right? We're perfect. So I got to be able to understand what's around me without the human safety. I never learned human safety. And so I learned that outside of it. So I connected with just the guides and everything like that around me, which was just natural for me. And then all the animals, we always had animals, whether it was just in the forest close to us, or my mom had a whole bunch of animals. And so animals just were easy to talk to. And so that's really, it was just my life. And then as I grew up, I developed a world national equestrian certification. And I went out when I was 15 and started working with people all over, certifying them and working with some Olympic trainers and things like that. And I was able to communicate with the horses and the body of the human and all the parts of the human and what's going on with their trauma, physical, emotional, whatever that is, and then bring them together ultimately. And so that was how I expressed it before fully expressing it, right? And I got to travel to Europe without my parents when I was 13 and went around the countries. I've been all over the world just with really great opportunities, being called to masters and healers and teachers, and just followed where I was supposed to go, whether it made sense or not. Most of the time it never made sense. And a lot of the times this was just like sacred, secret stuff, right? We took care of people. We worked with the natives. We did a lot of things of that nature. And then I came back and I was a businesswoman and worked with, de-stressing high entrepreneurs, business owners and things like that, and helping them with their businesses and just an emotional state. And it wasn't until later on that I started to, they were just like, thumbs up, like, how do you know all this stuff? And you should start to be able to do that. And you know about claims, right? And the wording and all of that. And I wasn't a registered therapist or a registered doctor. And so I had to deal with the government a little bit with like healing. And nowadays you can use that word all over the place. And it's like, okay. So anyway, we evolved from the competitive side. I drag raced four-wheelers for 10 years as well. So I built actually 7 different businesses throughout my lifetime. And the horses just stuck with it the whole way through. They were always the backbone. They were always there no matter what happened. And so that was my catalyst to being able to bring it to a forefront, right? Then word of mouth started going out and things like that. And it just organically took a life of its own. So
it's incredible. Okay, so you said some really important things. I had a guest on earlier today. We were recording a show, and something you said was the same thing. He said he was an only child, although you were not an only child. You were alone. Okay, alone was the key word. I always say I'm a child of trauma. I always say that because I was. And I was alone a lot. I had a brother 8 years, 8 years apart, but I helped raise him and basically took over that role for quite a while. And I was a very young girl. And so that puts you in a very different position. It's so interesting that if you are left alone, I'm not saying to do this to your children, obviously we don't, but it's amazing what children who've gone through serious things, how successful many of them are. If you actually interview a lot of people, you hear a lot of stories that you would never guess. That, it's crazy. So it's intriguing that you said that. The horses have always stuck. That's always been the big one for you. You have such a multidimensional life. You are just an incredible woman. So you get into, you're helping entrepreneurs, you're a healer. You were a healer before it was cool, right? Like before everyone's becoming a healer. Not that that's bad. I'm just saying you said it, like now you can say it.
That's funny.
You couldn't say it before.
Up with the new updated words as every generation comes in. They're like, this, and they'll say some word and I'm like, so that's the new word for it now. Okay.
Right. Socially acceptable words and like the cool words and like what we're doing and all that stuff. So you've gone through quite a bit in your life. I see you have an incredible man by your side. I see that. Oh, yeah. That's so awesome. Let's talk about, if you don't mind, when I met you, you were going through a kind of a rough time personally. I think you handled it really well. I go through my own stuff privately and publicly sometimes, and I've definitely had my fair share. How would you talk to somebody being with all the stuff that you have all these abilities, but when you go through it, what do you do?
Well, I definitely have had many epiphanies through it myself. Just when I think I know what I'm doing, it just shows that I don't. I learn more after that. And so a big thing that I have learned is how to get very clear on the truth of what's happening with me and the truth of what's happening around me for my reality, right? Mm-hmm. And understanding what are my needs and how do I get to, one, serve me in that and understand it? Because a lot of times we don't even understand what we need, right? And the moment we don't understand what we need, or we think that, like, how are we going to explain support to somebody else that's wanting to support you. You start attracting people that just want to use you or, you know, take advantage of you or something like that, because you're not clear on what it is you actually need. You're just needing, right? And so what I learned to do was I learned to shut everyone out during my processes. I had my own place. I could go alone easy. I could go with the animals easy, right? It was then re-socializing the new knowledge, right? Or the healing or whatever happened back into it and integrating stuff. And honestly, the biggest thing for me was I have desires. I have very strong desires. I love feeling accomplished. I loved serving others and building. And so a lot of that helped just focus me in again onto what I needed to do. And now what I've learned is by saying my hell yeses and sticking to them, and also saying my hell no's, right, and sticking to it. There's a lot of times where I wanted the communities that I had built, but they weren't sustainable for me or my movement I was making. And I had to just get real with that. And I had to just be like, hey, Ruth, what is truth for you? And how are you going to take just radical accountability for you and your actions and what you're doing and what you're not doing? And then at that point, guilt couldn't play on me, right? It was like I was as clear as I possibly could be. I was settled in where I was, and the storm could be right in front of me, but I could breathe and at least know my next steps. And whoever was ready, I was clear enough and stable enough in me, you know, shit could be going everywhere, but in me, I was able to feel what was matching and what wasn't matching. And I just made a promise to myself that the better it gets, the better it gets. And the only way it's going to do that for you, Ruth, is to get real with you. And so that's really, I just kept resetting that. Okay, what is it? Okay, what is it? Okay, what is it? Right. And yeah, I mean, I got an offer and I was running a $15 million project every year because I was a female entrepreneur with agriculture and all of that beauty that the tax helped, right? They could utilize the money better. And then like 2 years in, the guy went to jail for something totally irrelevant and everything got seized and I almost lost like everything. And so I just had to refocus again and be like, all right, the ranch and the horses have always been here. This is what, if everything left, I can play with my ponies. And so that's what I kept. And from there on, and then that way, when my man came around, I mean, he like hit like a truth bomb every second. Right. But he was ready. And so that's where it went. And we did it well.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so you said, like, here's the other things I really like about you. And in every successful person I know, it says the same, 100% accountability. You know, here's the thing. When people say, okay, so you talked about clarity. And for me, I had not had clarity in a long time because I was shoving things away. I was numbing the pain. When I got sober, I had the most clarity, obviously, I've ever had in my life. And I don't think people understand the clarity we're talking about. It's not like, oh, you know, when you feel good and you're feeling good for a day, it's clarity. Like when you know where you need to go, even if you're not there, even if there's a shitstorm, like you said, there's been plenty of shitstorms in my life. But when you are clear in yourself and you're clear in what you want to do, it's amazing. And you can be accountable though. Like that's the other big part. You have to be freaking honest. Like you got to be real with yourself. You got to talk. You got to say the ugly out loud, at least to yourself. And that's okay. Like, yeah, like this is why we're friends. This is why I relate to you, because I'm like, you don't care. You'll just be like, yeah, this happened. And it's like, absolutely, this is the kind of person you want in your life, because I don't want any of the fluff. I don't need filters. There's enough filters in the world. I don't, and I've had to put some filters on my life, and it really bothered me. And it really made me a person. I'm like, I don't like how I feel, because I want to be honest about this, but I'm scared to, maybe I'm hurting if I hurt somebody in the process, right? And that's really difficult in relationships, any types of relationships, friendships, especially me and my daughter, me and my husband. Like, we've gone through a lot of shifts. And getting sober and clear was my moment. And I also had to get really accountable. And I always consider myself so accountable. But when I really thought about it, when I really sat down, I was like, no, I have to be accountable at this moment in my life. And this is the opportunity, right? And so you get into this clarity. You can tackle anything and you can handle anything when you're there, when you're accountable. It's not fun.
No.
And it's not easy, but this is what people, I think the true keys to success is, you nailed two of them, is the clarity and the accountability. And the people I see that succeed, they can be complete shit shows. I'm one. I mean, I call myself a shit show on a daily.
Show.
We're a shit show at my house. But I'm like, but we're super accountable, and we're very, very upfront. We don't care. Like, my kids know, my kids listen to everything I do. There's no filters for my kids. If somebody swears, who cares? I swear all the time. I'm not filtering my kids. They're going to hear it somewhere else. They might as well hear it from the mother. Also, truth about myself. I want my kids to know exactly who I am at all times. Ooh. I never want a secret, because that hurts. And I think, childhood things, I think about the secrets that my parents may have had, and they hurt me down the road. It never works out. Just be honest. Tell them the ugly right away. And so I think that's really important, and something I do. And maybe maybe that's not the right parenting, but it's my parenting. And I think that's really important. Now you have a child. I don't want to say more than one, because I've only known one, and I don't want to be a bad friend here, but I'm pretty sure you have.
I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my baby girl Lexi. She's 12 now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know you have a girl, but I'm like, I better not be wrong on this and say she only has one, because you never know. Social media is what we mostly see.
Well, I'm getting 2 boys, which I'm really excited for. They're good. So I'll have a 12-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl, and then an 8-year-old boy. And they're awesome. They're Scots. And we've already welcomed them in and stuff like that. So it's definitely there. But yeah, I think the transition for Lexi and I has been because they've been able to just love us and let us love them, and be in our world. And because, like you said, there's not really like the secrets going on, and we communicate the best we can, right? Yeah. That it's okay to be them. And Lexi grew up, I mean, there is times, single mom, running a ranch, running businesses, right? She had to come with me at the most outrageous times of nights, working, traveling. I drug her to New Zealand for a month to do an international working deal. She loved that though. But she was with adults doing like emotional hard clearing.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, and then when you get out of the country, it's like you said, they have different cultures. And we were working with some Netherlands, and boy, they got very clear with their words about the body and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, here we go, Lexi, right? And so she got used to just stepping up when she had to. And so she's had to learn how to be a sister, but not be a super bossy sister. Right.
I think it's awesome. I've been watching, you were a single mom when I met you, and watching you fall in love has been fun. Because I'm like, look at this, look at this crazy, awesome love. Because you're a free spirit. I'm very similar, except for, when I was in business with you, I was more, I was trying to be something I wasn't because I thought that's how to be successful. I've been so open about that. I'm like, I effed up, but it was the biggest blessing because when I got to be myself in the last 3 years, I've really got to be myself. I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, I want to be happy and free. And that's what it's all about. And so watching you fall in love and that transition has been beautiful. And so I love it. I'm so proud of you for that. Okay. So you have been in businesses, you have run just incredible businesses. And I love that you took your daughter along for the ride. That she'll never forget that. Like having a childhood like that is just incredible. It's incredible. And having a mom, when you can show your daughter what love is and to have that healthy relationship, that is so important. It's so important to show what it should look like. Because we've all seen the bad. You know, we know what the ugly looks like. And it's like, it's show our kids what a healthy love relationship is and that it's okay to express how much you love each other and be healthy and open and honest. So as we transition and segue, you have some projects coming up and it's so exciting. So you've been in business in the multi-level marketing world. You've done really well.
Yeah, those are fun. You know, create a residual.
That's fun. Yeah, it's residual.
The second I want to go to Shiloh level, I'm like, yeah, I'll go run my other stuff.
It's good that you're having fun. It's good that you're having fun because that's what it's all about too. You don't have to be, you know, that's like the main thing. It's like there's a lot of opportunity in there, and I love that you use it as a side gig, and it's just wonderful. So it looks like you have so much going on with your fiance and also all the things. Tell us about all the things that are happening right now in your world.
Ooh, well, we were going to be married in Bora Bora last week, and then Bora Bora shut down.
Oh my gosh, no.
And so the weddings just bounced around all over the place because I want it to just be like really awesome on a really awesome location. That's about it, right? Like him and I, and we want the kids there. And so we're getting married next month, the 22nd, May 22nd in Cancun. And it's pretty much going to be like a little family wedding because the whole resort is like kid oriented. So, but we play a lot anyway outside that. So the project, so besides getting married, which is super, super exciting, and it's been frustrating for us because we've not been able to like focus on that yumminess of it, right? We just get to be like, we're so excited for a break and to be together and then have our life together. We're actually ready to have the life together. Right. And that's what's good. But then the projects, oh my gosh. So building my business, we took it into the Taste Your Magic side. And this has been where people get to explore the different modalities. What are their gifts? Who are their gifts? And how do they express that and translate all of this stuff? And then how does it empower you? And what do you want to do with it? So a lot of people I work with transition it into business. And, but on the flip side, we do elite retreats internationally, which that went haywire, right? And then, seminars, and I have a mastermind group as well with those. And then, so we just have their retreats. And then the newest project is, when you really start to get how to be aligned, and you start to figure this whole manifesting thing out, right? And kind of those secrets and how to get real with yourself. And then you think you're ready and it's like, it's not there yet. And then all of a sudden you're like, you're ready. And then it's like a flood. Yeah. That's what I'm experiencing right now. So a while back, I was looking into getting back into like TV stuff, right? And I was like, but this time I'm ready to go bigger. Right. I'm ready to go bigger. And no shit. The day after, like looking into people who get on the different television, well-known stations, I get a call and they're like, been trying to bug me for a while. This happens if you do it through Messenger, as you know. It's hard to reach me through Messenger sometimes, but reality show. They wanted me to be on a reality show. They had to go through a whole, like they tested people. They had an audition, a casting call and all of that stuff. And they're like, just come. We just want you on it. So what it is 6 months it's ace in the hole, and they're scaling the business. So whatever businesses come in, and the person who scales the most wins it. And throughout the game, we do like a poker game, and we have tasks, and we win chips, and then you win a whole bunch of stuff, and it's really cool. But like, they've got mortgage companies, they've got real estate companies, and they're like, your company is just, whoa, right? And so that's been happening. But what we have to do is just, they're splitting it all up and getting that nitty gritty stuff and the foundation and all of that right now. But so we're taking a big leap in scaling all the dynamics of my business, this energy business, this animal communication business, this oracle business, and implementing all of those automatic and internet access points that I like to work on person. So this is helping me be able to do that. That's been one of my parts of it's like, how do you getting it so others can help run my business?
Getting automated. It's so important. Yep. You know what? And here's the thing. So I'll talk a little journey too. I'm not the most organized person. I'll just do something and like, whoop, we'll figure it out. Like, I'll get into it. And people are like, well, do you know this? And I'm like, no, I don't know that answer. I just do it. Like, I just do it. And so part of that is a really big part of my success, but then the organization part comes in and I need help. And what I've really learned in the last few years is ask for it. Ask for help. There's a lot of people that are out there to help you. Be careful, but getting automated is so important. Getting a VA, like a virtual assistant, even just something small. You don't have to have crazy stuff, but I have a few assistants now. It's so funny. I have more than one. I have 3. It's crazy. I have an assistant for my main business she's the gatekeeper. I call her the gatekeeper. Her name is Christy. You know Christy Perkins. She is just
she's the gatekeeper.
She's the gatekeeper. I'm telling you, she's the key master. She's the key master. She's got all the keys to the castle, baby. But she does, and she's been a lifesaver. She runs so much for me and helps me. And then, I have 2 other assistants who, help me here and there, and it's for each thing I do. So, help my media side, I've got some help, and then I've got somebody for my main and, kind of everything. And then, you come over and you do like the Instagram social media side. I got somebody for that. So it's like, I'm not afraid anymore to do that, where before I'm like, I have to be in control. No, I don't. Listen, I want to be free. I want to be freaking happy. Get automated. And so enjoy that and really reach out to some people. And even Christy is great. So, I mean, if you need help, she's there. She helps tons of people in tons of different places. Like, she's big. She's growing massively with the amount of high-level entrepreneurs that she has been helping. And it's really nice. And so funny because it's just, I know how you feel. Like when you say like there's a whirlwind coming at you, that's been me this year. I'm like, everything's happening in a year. Woo, 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 like everything. And I'm just
I asked for that. And now it's time.
Oh my gosh. Manifesting is huge. And it's so fun when you do figure it out, when you're like, yes, like, and you know how to do it. It's incredible. So I teased a little bit in the beginning about you talking to snakes, but I have always had a hard time with snakes. I don't hate snakes, but I've always been fascinated by your ability with that particular, I want to say it's a reptile, the reptile. But let's just talk about that. Did you ever have a fear of snakes, or were you always very comfortable? And you do use it in therapy. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So the snakes, it's amazing what they can do for the body and the emotional state. So over the time, I've never actually been scared of snakes. I never had the opportunity to be taught that, and my family didn't have that phobia down the line. So that just never was in my realm. If anything, it was learn how to connect with them so you don't get hurt or something like that, right? We even had a pet rattlesnake my brother caught, and I'm not real sure why, but it happened. So, but the snakes, they, So the biggest thing that they do is in our lives, we have mirrors. Things represent things for us and what that is for us and what's showing up and how do we get to adjust what's happening in us so that we can grow or connect, whatever it is, right? So snakes have this label of negativity. You know, you've got your Adam and Eve story. You've got he's a snake, right? They're so constricting, they'll kill you, like all kinds of things. They'll swallow things. Well, there's a lot of things that they're labeled, and mainly what it is fear, right? Mm-hmm. They're labeled as a fear-inducing animal or a reptile. And so what happens is when the animal can come into the energy field of you, and you is what starts to happen is your fear triggers start to come up, whatever that may be. Right? Mm-hmm. Everybody reacts differently. And the second you say yes to it, or you allow a willingness, doesn't mean you have to touch them, doesn't mean anything. It starts to shift, right? The moment you make a decision to go do something big, all of a sudden your life starts shifting, right? Before you even do it. It's the same thing. But what starts to happen is they feel vibrations so keenly, they clear their whole body system and regrow new. So their shedding is like brilliant for them, right? That valley of darkness coming out, that's them, man. They're so experienced with that. As well as their whole body is muscle. So you're talking about full balance, right? And utilizing you, all of you. And so what happens is if any of these fear parts, using all of you, shedding off stuff, constricting blocks in your body, whatever's creating these will start to flare, like start to ting up, right? Mm-hmm. And we teach them how to breathe through it. We work through what's happening in the moment. And most of it's just breathing and allowing you to recognize what the fear is, not necessarily the snake. And so as the snake becomes vulnerable, because you could throw it, you could kill it, you could do all kinds of stuff. But the second the snake becomes vulnerable, there starts to be a connection, right? When you go to have a conversation with somebody that if you've been kind of heading and you both kind of go, okay, let's just kind of open-heartedly lay this out, right? And that's what happens is the snakes open up to be able to be that vulnerable thing while they know they're labeled as this terrifying creature, right? I know you see me as this. I don't see you as that. How can we connect differently? And then what happens is it really just depends on what is causing the block. If it's an emotion, if it's most of it's emotion, but it also pans out as physical stuff, right? So then the snake, as you start to release that stuff, as you start to breathe through it, as you start to feel that you know it's something other than the snake you're scared of, right? Then the snake can then connect with you better and create more flow and movement, which then your body naturally has an environment to heal. Mm-hmm. And that depends on your ability of how fast you're willing to heal at that moment. And I've seen things flip so fast, like carpal tunnel switching, arthritis, not being able to move within the one session. I went on a doctor show, Dr. Lee in Hollywood, and she was Michael Jackson's doctor, but the good one, not the one that killed him.
I understand. Oh my gosh.
So we took my snakes to Hollywood, right? And we were in Sunset Gallery and Studios, and she's scared of them. And she had her esophagus was closing. She had high blood pressure they'd been working on for 4 years. And she had something down lower that she didn't even know about. But the snake, when she was like, okay, we did it live on her show, right? She's like, oh shit. And breathing through it, this beautiful Black woman, her hair's all, curling, don't touch it and stuff like that. And the snake's like trying to go in it. But anyway, he went around and he softly massaged on her back. So I'm here to support him so he doesn't have to use her to work something, right? Because that's what gets scary if they start clamping in, right, to get over here. So I'm there to help the snake, talking to her, breathing through it. She's explaining what's happening. He works through here. He settles here, and he starts clearing this out because her heart's pounding, things are pounding, right? breathing, she's opening up. And long story short, we worked about 15 minutes. And she, of course, the purpose of this was, one, to have it because she likes me. We've met each other at other events and doctor stuff. And then two, she wanted to prove it, right? She wanted to go test it afterwards. And afterwards, her blood pressure had lowered, the esophagus had relaxed and allowed it to just stay in a normal position. And we're still wondering what was going on. It was something with her, like, gallbladder, I think, was started moving at that point. And so I checked in on it again, just kept checking in and for a year, I've not checked on it. It's been a couple of years, but for about a year, at least as far as I know, I get to go check with her now again. She's been good to go. Blood pressure stayed down and everything in the esophagus. She hasn't had that closing up and locking up. And she was coughing. She was crying. She was trembling. She was right there on her show. And 15 minutes later, she was good to go. So it really is. If you allow yourself to be in the vulnerability of the movement and what's next for you, and you get real with what gets to be cleared, right? If you got tension, you stretch it. Then if you got limiting beliefs, you shift that around, right? Different things like that. Then after that, it depends on how fast your body can heal. It could be terminal for years, right? Or months. I've worked with tumors and stuff like that. I had a tumor in my head. I've had heart surgery, a lot of different things. And the moment you remove that, and if you're willing to make it through that first rush of life and that fear of life now, because you've totally taken a whole identity away from you, and you're ready to step into the truth of you and what you've been asking for. And now it's like real in your face when those dreams become real. It's like, oh, what did I really ask for? Right? Can I do this? Sometimes that too good to be true starts really getting you sometimes. If you're ready, you can heal so fast from the most outrageous things.
I truly believe that too. I think it's incredible. I did not know that about snakes on that level. And I think it's I don't think a lot of people do. Snakes are the most misunderstood. I know a lot of people hate spiders too. But I mean, snakes do, like, I think about it, even if I thought right now, oh, we should do that. I get a sense of fear, but I know that's a good fear. And it's like, well, what's really the fear? And I do believe that. I totally want to come and see you because I feel that this is something I am ready for. I think there's a lot of people who are listening and watching and tuning into this that will also be really ready for you as well and may want you. We have lots of people from all over the world that tune in here. So, okay, as we come to a close, how can people find you and what can you offer them right now? And we have your links, so don't worry about links. We'll throw them up, but how can they find you and what can you offer them right now?
The biggest thing is I do private readings and sessions. And I'll just kind of put out my bigger stuff and then the links will help you
Absolutely.
To the other smaller stuff. But the bigger stuff is private mentoring to be able to develop you, heal you, whatever's happening in your life, and whatever your next goal is, that we find those secret parts to make it cleaner, smoother, faster, and more sustainable, right? Mm-hmm. And I've got elite retreats where we get a taste and play with all of that stuff. And I've got a mastermind group where we do Zoom classes, day events, and weekend retreats in that as well. So that's kind of the main things right now is the different retreats. We can do animal shamanism if you're more into that, or if you're just wanting to check with your gifts and how do you get to be fully you and present the essence of you into all you do so it flourishes even more. Then we work with that as well. So horses, animals. I mean, the thing about the animals and the horses is they don't come with a prejudgment on you. And so people have an ability to be more vulnerable with that.
Yeah.
So
it's incredible. It's incredible.
We don't have to do the horses. And we speak with people who have lost loved ones as well.
Yeah. I watched a lot of the horse as well. You know, some of the training and the therapies you do with the horses is it's mind blowing. Y'all have to follow Ruth. If you're not following her, get on social media and follow her. Find her, Ruth Mellor. She is just incredible.
Thank you.
So excited for the reality show. So excited for your wedding. Keep posting the posts, and you're going to be hearing from me privately probably the second we're off this, because I have lots to talk to you about. Oh my gosh, you all, this has been another amazing episode of Grit and Grace. Ruth Mellor, thank you. You are incredible. The Oracle, and so much more. Y'all, we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you for listening to and watching Grit and Grace. This episode will be continued next week. Subscribe to us on Spotify or Apple iTunes to listen, and download the Lux TV app to watch anytime, anywhere.
Now, glutathione is a big word, but it's the body's own master antioxidant. So it's a scavenger for free radicals, for bacteria, and what's relevant now, viruses. This is new to the marketplace. There's no other product on the market that has the ingredient NACET.
And basically NACET increases the production of that glutathione that is in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system and keep it strong. Elevated sense of well-being. Supports muscle strength and endurance. Cognitive function. Powerful liver support. Energy. Helps blood sugar regulation. Superior bioavailability of key ingredients.
One of your best defenses against COVID is a strong immune system. Taking GSH Plus as a daily supplement does all that. And now we have the product out on the marketplace.